Got Barry Beggarly with us on the Half Price Concessions podcast. Barry, first and foremost, just thank you for letting me come up here, man. I know you got plenty of other stuff you could be doing rather than sitting around talking to me, but I really appreciate you carving out some time on a pretty darn cold this morning. We come up here, it's like 38 degrees. We're in here in sweaters where last week we could have wore shorts.
Yeah, it's pretty nippy this morning. I think my phone had 31 this morning here. So.
Not to say.
But, yeah, you're welcome anytime. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Now, just coming in the shop where we're doing this, and I look up and I see, all the trophies and the trophies that didn't fit on the shelves just from your time. I mean, it's. Do you ever kind of sit back and look at them and go, man, we really done something? Or are you just so used to look at them, you're just like, oh man, they're just dust collecting?
Well, mostly just dust collecting right now. You gaze up every now and then at them and see, well, you've had some pretty good luck over the years, but, racing is a whole lot like, as much luck as it is anything, but you got to be lucky, but you got to be there at the finish, so I feel pretty fortunate to have that many up on the wall.
Do you know what's the oldest one that's up there?
The oldest one?
Yeah.
It's probably 69, something like that. Yeah. 68 or 69.
Golly. You drove for a
I've
while.
Been around a while.
That's amazing you were getting into trophies in 69. You're only 40-something years old.
Yeah, that's good math, isn't it?
Pretty miraculous. But what have you been up to lately? I know I hear a lot of people when I go to certain races, they ask what you're up to and stuff. What have you been up to?
Well, really not. I hadn't been racing as much myself. My son's been racing a little bit. I just kind of been helping him a little bit. He's been running over at Orange County. The way he works, he's like works every other weekend. So it just so happened he was able to go to all the Orange County races this year. So that, and got a new venture, doing a little bit of logging, my brother and I. So between the two is about all the time I had to do this year.
That logging. I remember you told me on the phone about that logging business. That it feels more like mechanic work than logging work.
I believe it's more mechanic than it is logging. It look like every day something or other. You run into something or other, a hose or seal or something or other always going on. But
yeah,
it's not bad work, as long as you don't have to get out and get that chainsaw going. But
there you go.
If you can stay in the machines, you're doing good.
Yeah, there's so much to kind of get to with you, and I'm honestly very curious about a lot of things, just because by the time I was old enough to really remember what was going on at A Speedway was 93 when you were winning your national championship. But for me and everyone who's heard about you but doesn't know a lot of the story, when did you even get an interest in racing? Did you get took to a race as a kid, or did a family member get you into it? How did you even get an interest in racing from the start?
Well, back when I was a teenager, my brother, he had a race car that he had a little service station up here on West Main Street, and I'd work at the service station, and I'd kind of work the service station at night when they was gone to the racetrack stuff. And
were they racing at Danville?
They was racing at South Boston, and then they run some at 311, and then A Speedway when it was dirt. And anyway, I got to thinking, I said, look, I need to get me a race car so I don't have to stay here and work every Saturday.
Okay, that was your ticket off work.
So a friend of mine, he's passed now, but me and him worked at J.C. Penney down there. So anyway, we decided to buy us a car. We ended up getting I believe it was a 36 Plymouth Coupe or something like that. And we got into that and was running some over the A's, but we couldn't ever keep a motor together. Though slant six is the only thing we were running back in that division, running the hobby division.
Yeah.
And at the time, like I say, I think we cleaned the junkyards out of slant sixes because we was blowing one up every week.
Golly. Were you even getting halfway through the race before it blew, or was it blowing pretty early?
Blowing pretty early. Sometimes we finished a few races, but not that many. But anyway, we run across this 36 Chevrolet Coupe.
Okay.
And we decided to go ahead and fix that. And my brother, he was pretty good with engines at the time, and he said, "Well, I'll fix you a motor for that Chevrolet." guaranteed to stay together. So anyway, we got the Chevrolet, got it fixed up, and got over to A Speedway with it, and the guys wanted to protest us because they said, "Oh, you can't run a Chevrolet motor into Plymouth."
There you go.
And anyway, it just so happened Red Justice come by.
Well, there's a name right there.
I know you know the Justices. But anyway, I said, "Hey, Red, come here a minute." I said, "We just finished this car up, and these guys think it's the same car we had the Plymouth motor in." He looked at it, he said, "No, that's a Chevrolet, man." And then after that, it was okay. Everything was good after Red told him it was a Chevrolet coupe. But anyway, yeah, we started out like that, and Alvin drove it for a while, and anyway, I decided it's time for me to drive a little bit, so we moved up to the late model in dirt, and he drove it for a while, and I drove it a while, and then anyway, we ended up, I went to the racetrack with a friend of mine, Bobby Fleming, and he was running some Sportsman series back then. He was running with, Jack Ingram and all those guys. But anyway, I went to South Boston to help him that night because we weren't running. And a friend of mine had a limited car there, and he come over and got me. He was wringing wet. He'd been out there trying to practice it. I think the guy had been driving. He got bee stung or something, and he got an allergic reaction, so he couldn't drive. So Ronnie said, "Hey, man, I need you to drive his car." I said, "Man, I ain't got no uniform or nothing with me." He said, "Here, you get this one." I said, "Good God."
Did it even fit, or was it way too baggy?
No, it was. I was pretty skinned at the time. I didn't have no problem getting in. I had to go in the lounge and wring it out.
Oh, no.
Get the water out of it. I ain't kidding. But anyway, I got it on there and went out there, and I think that back then in South Boston, they kind of drawed for where you started. And we drawed the pole, of course. Had never sit in the car.
Were you nervous?
Yeah, a little bit nervous. And I knew the old tires on the car weren't no good because Bobby had gave them the tires to run, and they'd come out from that back of the shop, been sitting back there for 3 or 4 years. So.
Collected a little age.
Yeah, so they didn't turn all blue and stuff, so I didn't have no idea what it was going to do. But anyway, I started on the pole there, and I kind of fell on back to about third or fourth there, just trying to feel it out there. And well, after a few laps, I said, "Well, I don't feel too bad." Dirt tracking, I've been used to that anyway, so those hard tires really, I was just kind of dirt tracking along. But I think I made it back up to second, and that's where we wound up in the heat race. And I think the race, I think we actually wound up second or third. I can't remember, but it was pretty good. The best car I'd ever run down there, because the guy up in the stands, his name was Bobby Knuckles. He had a Honda shop in Danville, had a little Honda dealership. And he sent word down and said, "Well, I don't know who's driving that thing, but if he drives it next week, I'll put some tires on it."
That's awesome, man.
So we got a little bit of tire help there on the thing, and we was I think we'd won 2 or 3, and the boy that owned the car, he'd been in Vietnam, and he worked at Goodyear, but he had some kind of tack or something anyway.
Yeah.
He kind of got messed up anyway. They put him in the hospital there, so we end up we'd collected right many little odd and end sponsors. So I said, shoot, we just can't leave them hanging. We didn't got their money. Well, I didn't get it, but the guy that owned the car got it. But
did he at least give you money to go get a hot dog or something?
No, he didn't give us no money. I mean, I guess in racing you spend as fast as you can get it. I mean, it ain't no up in that, but. Anyway, so I had a dirt car I'd been running. I switched it over to asphalt to run front of the county. So anyway, we went on and I redone that and got it ready to go to South Boston. I'll finish out the season of that, and so we I don't know, but there won't be a few more races left. But anyway, we started running front of the county the next year, and that's the year I won 19 or 20 up to Franklin County to win this drive in Virginia.
I heard so much when I did 2 races at Franklin County. I heard so many of the kind of older fans that were there talked about you running there, and I never knew you'd run there.
Yeah, we did. That was a year before they come out with a late model stock division. You know, like they done away with the sportsman. When they didn't do away with it, they moved them up and then just put the late model stock into place to the weekly shows. I guess that was I don't know, what 78 or 88 or something.
Something like that.
Whatever it was, but anyway, we started running the late model stock, and we ran a year or two, and had a guy that come up to buy a car. Well, I was kind of building a few cars to kind of help pay the racing away. We built some, and he wanted to know about what if I'd start driving for them. So that's what I done. I ended up driving for them for, I guess, from whatever it was. I think it was the first or second year in the late model stock I started driving for them. We was kind of competing against each other at Orange County and South Boston, and the guy said, "How about just drive for us?"
Hey.
So I did, and anyway, that's when William and Johnson and myself and got together there. And he kind of helped us get some sponsorship. He helped us get that Woodall Chevrolet deal. He was.
I was going to ask about that, because what so many people remember you as is black '82, mustache with swooped over hair, and that Woodall Chevrolet on the quarter panel.
Yeah. So we ended up getting a tire sponsor out of him, and we was running. I mean, we'd win every other week or so, whatever. But anyway, I told William, I said, "Look," I said, "if we had a motor like Jay Fogelman had in his car," I said, "I think we could win every race down here."
Yeah.
He kind of looked and laughed. I thought, yeah, I said, but we'd had several different engine builders, you know, Ronnie Barnett and a couple of the guys down in Durham was fixing the motor, but we didn't have what Jay had there. He let off at Flagman stand and still run a quicker lap. We'd run all the way in the corner. I said, oh.
He had the power plant.
He had the motor, but anyway, so the end of that year, I got David Upchurch, that's who was building his motors, to put a cam in one of my motors that I have here. And he put a cam in it, and it run a little bit better, but still didn't run like what they had on, you know, whatever, regardless what it was. But anyway, the next year we got with him there. We got on a percentage deal. He said, "I'll furnish some motors for percentage."
Okay.
So this was about 91 or 2. So anyway, I think it might have been 93 the first year we had full motor, but
that was a good year to have it.
93. Now we was on the money. We might have had it at the end of 92, but in 93 there, the first race we went was at Volusia.
All the way down. You went all the way down to Florida. How long was that trip?
Well, it was about 9 hours, but it was the speed weeks. You know, they had the Daytona race, and they had speed weeks, and the Winston put on a race down there at Volusia County for the late model cars. It was like 10 to win.
Oh.
Yes.
That's pretty good nowadays, much less than 93.
Because we should have won it a couple times, but I believe we did have Davis motor in 92 at the end of that year, because I should have won it, and I had a fuel pickup line come off, leading the race.
Oh,
and it
terrible
come off,
timing.
yeah. But in 93 we went down there, we sat on the pole, and I think we led every lap. And that's when old Larry Phillips was down there. He come down that year. You remember the dirt car, Larry Phillips, that won about 6 national championships.
Yeah, I remember.
Out of Missouri. But anyway, we had I think it was about 2-lap shootout. And I seen him laying on back. He was running second, I was leading. I seen him running on back. I said, "This guy's going to try to run on me."
Yeah. You weren't ignoring him. He was right where you were thinking.
I knew he was falling on back, so he was just going to get a run on me. By the time I gassed up, he was going to be gone. Yeah. All right, but see, they didn't really have no start position line over there.
So it's kind of up to
up to the leader.
vague.
The leader is the one to start the race. So, you know, normally I started kind of in the middle of the corner or whatever. But anyway, I jumped on the gas going in the corner and left him. He come over there and said, "Well, I got sniggered on that one."
Hey, you did what you had to do.
But that was a $10,000 race. But anyway, I think in '93 we ran 57 races that year.
And you still had to go find Dennis Setzer
Yeah,
in the last race to win the championship.
We had to go because see at the time they only counted your best 20 finishes out of best 40 finishes for the whole season. So that didn't matter, you know, whatever track it was, as long as NASCAR track. But see, I think I had like 27 wins in that 40 that counted. So I was still winning after my race was over with.
Yeah.
But see, I had to go to Franklin County, not Franklin County, but Tri-County and Hickory to keep Dennis from winning because he had 27 wins.
Yeah.
So it was tied up. So my wins didn't count, but I had to keep him winning so he still had some win counts.
Did you go up there thinking you had to block him or just finish in front of him?
Well, I had to finish in front of him, but you know, it was a deal there where as long as he didn't win.
You were
but
good.
Anyway, I went to Tri-County, and I think Dennis was on the pole and I was on the outside pole. This is the first night was up there. We had about 2 weekends we had to run up there that counted for this, still the national title still going on. But anyway, I got up there. Anyway, they had 2 lines on the track up there, and the first line I gassed up.
Yeah.
And I realized that Dennis didn't go, so I backed up before we ever got to the second line or start-finish line. By the time we got to start-finish line, I was actually running third. But they black flagged me for jumping the start. So they put me in the rear, so I said, well, shoot, ain't no need to tear my stuff up now.
Yeah.
I mean, a 35-lap race, I think we was running out like 20 and 35.
Yeah, there wasn't enough time to
So
get
there
back
wasn't
up
enough
there.
time to get back to the front. They had some good cars up there. So anyway, the fans was booing the flagman, who called that. I forget who called it. I believe it was, I'm trying to think the name, was doing a promoting up there. He was the one who made the call. But see, in the rule book, it said to give you 2 chances.
Oh, so they should have gave you a warning.
Yeah, well, they should have warned me and told me not to do it, but they didn't.
No, they just went ahead and put you back.
Yeah, they wanted Dennis to win it, of course. That was his home tracks up there, Tri-County. Hickory.
You were the outsider coming in, getting in his way.
Yeah, but I think the second race, I think I did win it. But anyway, the fans didn't like it because I didn't run on kind of that deal there where they poured on me. And the guy at Hickory called me that morning and says, look, you come on up here and run, we ain't going to do you like that.
Okay.
So I said, well, I mean, I don't expect no partiality, but I want to be treated like, you know,
like
everybody else. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want you to do something for me that you didn't do for them. But you know, if you get 2 chances or whatever, I mean, you're supposed to get 2 chances. So anyway, we went on over to Hickory the next night, and I think we won one over there, and Dennis finished second or third. And then it come down, I think, the final weekend over there. I had to make him finish worse than second.
Okay.
It come down, if he finished second, then he would win it.
Golly, that's
It
tight.
was pretty close.
That's so close.
So I qualified on the pole, and Andy Houston's boy. Can't think
Forget his
of Marty
first name.
Marty
like
Houston
that.
or something. Anyway, he was on the outside pole. So I knew I had to make Dennis finish work. Dennis actually qualified about 5th or something like that. But those guys up there, I guess they was kind of hoping Dennis would win. But as soon as they dropped the flag, they just moved over, and he was right on my bumper. But I had to let Houston get in front of me. So when we got gassed up there, I just lifted a little early. Well, actually, what they done the first time is I let him go. You know, when we started up, they said he jumped. So I thought they was going to put him in the rear.
Yeah, like they did you at Trico.
But they didn't.
Oh.
But they get another start. So the next time we got on down there and, you know, run on in the corner, and I just let him go on. And by that time, Dennis almost done caught up with me. And he was right on my bumper there, but I knew I couldn't let him pass me. Anyway, I let Houston get on out front a little bit. Then I'd get on back away from Dennis. And Dennis, when I get on him, I had to back up and let Dennis caught me.
Yeah.
But it was a kind of nip and tuck. It was a hard race. I think Dennis had me sideways a couple times going down by the flag stand. I was so crossed up, I didn't have to turn. I just gassed up when I got to the corner.
See, that's hard for me to think because for every time I've watched you, you've been the model of car control. So
Yeah.
when you tell me you're a little out of control, I was like, man, that must have been
No, I
a
wasn't
good
out of
shot.
control. I wasn't out of control. He had me pushing.
Oh, okay.
Hey, he had me pushing. I was like, all the way down the straightaway. When I got to the corner, I just gassed up and went on.
You had a handful, man.
Yeah, so it got down pretty hard there, but I ended up winning it. So,
Did you give him a number one symbol to let him know how much you appreciated that?
Well, that wasn't the only time. There was a couple times like that, but anyway, we got down about 2 or 3 laps ago, and a car in front of him was slowing down. Like he was slowing down. He wanted me to get to the outside of him.
Yeah.
And I said, no, this ain't right. I said, if I get to the outside, Dennis is going to pass me.
Yeah.
This guy's just going to run me right up the track. Anyway, we got down there, and I couldn't go to the outside, so I just shot right down on the inside of him, run about halfway on the grass and whatever, and passed him.
Yeah.
And ended up winning. The guy come over and said, well, I was going to let you go on the outside. I said, I know you was.
You know what? I'm hearing so much in this.
Yeah.
Like, you talk about these races and all these different things that go through your head. It's hard for me to think about you doing all this thinking when you driving as fast as you are, and there's so many other people out there on the track. Like, is your mind honestly processing that fast at the moment, or is this just the reflection back?
Well, you can see what's coming on. I mean, you driving, but you're still aware of what's going on. You gotta. Yeah. But I knew what that guy, when I seen him kind of slowing down and kind of staying to the inside, and I said, if I go to the outside, Dennis is going. He's going to
blow you by.
This guy's going to drive right up the track, and he's going to go right on by both of us.
Wow.
So anyway, I said, I ain't going to do that. So I just kind of made a hole down on the bottom. This was about the last lap. So
yeah.
So anyway, but it turned out for the best. I mean, Dennis, he come out good. I think he ended up landing that truck ride that year. He
didn't do too bad.
No, he come out all right. And I mean, I respect Dennis, and I ran with him a little bit at Caraway a few years back. Before that, when we went at Caraway, he had that old Orange Blossom Special. He was pretty tough up there, but yeah, Dennis, I respect him, and I think he did me too. But he could have put me out probably at the night, but.
Sound like he tried a couple times.
Well, I mean, he tried to get me out the way.
He tried to get you out of the way.
He probably could have got it done, but I think of some people at the stands kind of looking, maybe already scouting him out there a little bit, so. Yeah. I think he knew that, so he didn't want to be too aggressive, too dirty, I guess. But
I think 93 is what so many people know you from, just because of all you accomplished. You won the ACE title. I think you won the Mid-Atlantic, and of course, you get the national. Was that kind of your high point in your mind?
Well, it probably was. Like I say, we started out, running at Volusia County. We won that, and then we come back and started winning. We looked like winning about everywhere we went. And I think Wilkesboro was running back then. They had a race at Wilkesboro on the Saturday.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. When I looked you up on the internet, it says you won a race in North Wilkesboro. Yeah. I did not know that.
Yeah, we qualified on the pole and won the race. And anyway, they ended up taking the motor down a little bit or something. This is when David Upchurch, he was kind of ahead of his time as far as motors back then. I have to say David was a big reason. Him and Charlie Hempfield was kind of working together. David, he was a late eagle, and Charlie was the early eagle. Charlie would be there in the morning, and David would show up about summertime.
Moonlight, yeah.
But Charlie, he kept them going there, but kept them straight there. But they were super guys, super good guys. But as far as on the engine, they knew the stuff. But anyway, we got to Wilkesboro and ended up winning it. We got to take the little tour on the upstairs elevator and all to Wilkesboro, so it was pretty cool. So anyway, we had a race at Orange County that night.
Oh, so you had to load up and go.
So as soon as I got the intake off, they looked at it, and we loaded up and hauled freight back to Orange County and got there just in time to qualify.
Oh, geez, no practice.
No practice.
Get in there and go.
Just get in there and qualify and end up qualifying on the pole.
So nonchalant. We showed up late. We still qualified on the pole after winning at North Wilkesboro.
Yeah. So anyway, we ended up winning that. So we won 2 in one day.
Wow.
So I mean, that was just the kind of year we had. Like I say, we won 27 races that counted for the region, but we ran 57 races that year, and I think we won about 45.
That's a heck of a winning percentage. Man.
Yeah, so I mean, we really had a super year. I mean, you couldn't ask for nothing any better. So that kind of burned us out. I mean, I was so many races that year, so we kind of after that we kind of took it easy for a year or two, just run one, close by or whatever. But
I'm sure it's a toll because you're a family man. You got wife, you got kids and stuff. So I'm sure it is. It's quite a toll. But you were running so good, it was hard to put it down.
Yeah. Well, that year, that was the last year we had David doing the engines for us. After that deal, he got a deal down at down Bill Ellis's down there. They started up their own engine shop and all down there. So he went down there and started to work. So anyway, we got Charlie Long to do some motors for us. That's
a name.
Well, I mean, he was right up there with David. I mean, as far as the two, I mean, I couldn't say one's any better than the other. But I mean, Charlie gave us some good motors too. Because after that, I think we won like 2 Martinsvilles in 1 year up there.
Yeah, back when they were on the spring and the fall race.
Yeah, won both. Well, they cut it down to 2, I think.
Oh, it used to be more?
Yeah, well, I think they had 3. They had like one in the spring and one something other than
kind of halfway,
then one in the fall. But I think we won one in the middle in the fall. And then we went to Motor Mile. Motor Mile is where Sheila Chevrolet. He kind of promoted the track at Motor Mile, and Woodall was kind of like still on the car. So, they had
was that a point of conflict?
Yeah, they had a little contest amongst them. Your man ain't gonna do junk up here.
Who was his man? Or did he have one? He was just supporting the track.
Well, I think back then, I think it was a Beggarly Chevrolet car, and then Johnny Rumlin was running up there. I think Johnny had one of them. One of them had the sponsorship. I can't remember exactly who.
Okay.
But anyway, Woodall said, you got to go up there. So they had a big race up there at kind of the end of the year. Went up there. I had never been up there before.
It's a pretty big track.
Yeah, it's a pretty big track. And we, I think, wound up qualifying, probably 7th, 8th, whatever. We were just kind of feeling it out there and come in halfway. They had a break there. And my son, he made a few little changes on the car there. I don't know, the stagger or whatever, but anyway, when we went back to green, that thing was a bullet.
There you go.
And we went straight on up to the front and stayed there and won that one. And I think it was an $8,000 or $10,000 race.
Yeah.
So anyway, then I think we had one more at South Boston that really paid big. It was like a $15,000 race and a $5,000 bonus for halfway. And
that was back when it seemed like every track had that big, either $10,000 to win.
They paid big money. I mean, back then we run 200 laps every week or so. It was like $2,000 or $3,000 to win every week. And now they done got down to 50 laps and 100 laps, paying nothing really. They paying less now than they did back then.
It's pretty wild. But
Charlie was doing motor, and we went to South Boston, and man, we had a really good car. I mean, we led the halfway mark, and they inverted the start, and I think I inverted about 4, 5, 6 places back. And back then, Wayne and them was running good at Patterson, and a bunch of those guys, Blankenship and all. But anyway, I guess it was about 5 laps into the second run there. I remember Wayne saying, man, I heard you decide on me about, I said, you gassed up when hadn't even got off.
Yeah.
He said, oh, God. So anyway, man, we got it down. We was leading by, I just then got to where I was kind of like watching the mirror ride. And all of a sudden that thing, boom, blew up. Blowed up.
Heartbreaker.
It was about $20,000 to win that race, and the camshaft broke in the car.
There went $20,000 just in the motor.
Charlie Long, man, he was devastated. He said, and anyway, my son, he was at Martinsville up there the other week when they had it last Martinsville race up there, and he run into Charlie up there, and they was sitting on the wall talking. And Charlie said, I remember your dad when we had that big race one up there, and the thing blew up.
He still was thinking about that.
He said, your dad said, well, you win a few and lose a few.
That is true.
he said he was just he was just so understanding. I said, hey man, I mean, you know, stuff happens. You can't.
Yeah.
You got to take the good with the bad. But anyway, they was kind of reminiscing a little bit about it. But he remembers that pretty
Still
much.
pretty
Yeah,
fresh
that was
memory.
a big race because he was getting a percentage too.
Yeah, so his percentage got hurt.
Yeah, his percentage got hurt as well as ours. But anyway,
one thing I wanted to ask you about. So I thought I knew a lot about you, but I clearly didn't because I'm not old enough. But when I put your name into Google, this website called Racing Reference pops up with, you know, people's finishes and stuff, and it showed me that you ran a few, I guess the series, what would turn into the Busch Series and Xfinity Series now. It said that you made a few starts at Martinsville and I think another track. Tell me a little bit about that, because I honestly did not know you had even made any starts in that. I thought you were just always late model guy.
yeah, well, you know, we was running, like I say, at Franklin County. That year we won, I think, you know, 18 or 19 races up there that year. Anyway, we had a sponsorship. It was a printing shop up there, Rocky Mount.
Yeah.
Anyway, they approached us about maybe trying to run the Martinsville race, but I said, well, I don't really have a motor to go up there.
You gotta have a lot more motor for that.
You gotta have a lot of motor, but I don't know. Ruella was the name, I think. But anyway, she said, well, I'll help you out a little bit on the motor. So anyway, we went down to Charlotte. They had an auction down at Humble Moody, had a sale down there. They was kind of selling out. And they had a Chevrolet 355 built by them or whatever. And I think Pete Pistone was down there and Richard Childress and them was down there. And I said, I really need that block. And anyway, I started bidding on it there, and I looked up and Richard was bidding on it. And
sounds like a who's who in there with the paddles throwing up for stuff.
Yeah, but Richard seen me bidding on it, so he come over and said, I ain't going to bid on it no more. He said, I was just bidding on it so Pistone couldn't get it. He done stole everything.
Purely out of spite.
Yeah, but he said, if you need a good set of heads, he said, I got some heads that'll fit right on that motor. It'd be good.
Wow.
Aluminum heads. So I said, yeah, man, I'm going to need some heads. So I went by there, and he sold them to me right. I think he sold them to about $800 for the set. I mean, back then, that was a steal.
Yeah.
But he really done me a favor there. Anyway, I put them things on there and went up there at Martinsville, and we made the show. I think we qualified, and maybe, I don't know, I can't remember. It was in the top 20. They was doing the top 20 deal. It seemed like to me we did make the top 20, and I was running about 10th, I think, and the thing burned a piston. You know, back then we didn't have no access to dyno. We didn't know if the carburetor was lean or whatever. So that's what happened. I just run it lean. But
that's one thing I noticed. All the finishes were, you know, I have such a high expectation of you just because of all the successes. Seemed like just nothing ever seemed to work when you got to run those races.
Yeah, and we ran a couple of those, and we might have started one at South Boston, maybe. I think I'm not sure, but anyway, we was there. Actually, it was still a limited car. We just run it in the late model, but we come to South Boston. We was kind of running for the track points there, and anyway, Tommy Houston, he messed his car up something other during practice or something happened to it or something other. He'd come over and he was asking the NASCAR guys who anybody's car down here would be legal running late model.
Get some points.
Yeah, so he was running for the national points too back then. And he said, well, that 82 over there, he ran Mars the other week. But anyway, he come over and talked to him and said, man, how about what's the chances of starting your car for the points? And I said, well, I didn't have no problem with it, but you know, it was a couple guys that helped me. I said, you know, I hate to, you know, let them put in all the work and not get to run, but I talked it over with them, and one I was a little hesitant, the other said, well, whatever. So anyway, I let him start the car there, and he was running pretty good there, and I knew the car should have been running a little bit faster than what it was running, but I went over to the crew guy. I said, man, see, get that thing wide open. I said, that thing does have a hard 4-barrel. I said, you got to really mash it to get the 4-barrel in there. he went on the radio and told us, "Hey man, you got to mash that thing to make the 4-barrel work." He said, "All right."
Yeah, don't throw caution to the wind, man. Put the hammer down.
Yeah, so he finally got the hang of it. He got on up there pretty good there. And anyway, about halfway, he come on in and said, "Well, come on, get in there and run it, finish it out." He said, I done all I could. So I got in and finished it out. I think we was actually running about 6th or 7th there at the end. It was a long race.
Yeah.
And the daggone spindle broke. The arm on the spindle, back then they had 2 bolts in the spindle. And anyway, one of the bolts broke in the spindle.
You felt it pretty quick.
Well, yeah, it was just, just plowing in, like the toe end open way up and stuff, So
one of the things I remember, and we'll talk about your comeback in a second, is, you going up through these fields, you're able to pass cars and stuff, but you also were pretty tough to pass. I remember one race at Ace, young Jeb Burton got on your inside, and he could not pass you, and he was so, Brad Allen told me, he said, man, he was so frustrated. He's like, I got to his inside, I still couldn't do nothing with it. I mean, it probably took you a while to kind of learn how to just be that good with your race car. Well,
I mean, I don't, I'm not out there to block nobody. If somebody's got a faster car, I mean, it's either you, if you can't stay in front of them, either you're going to give them room, either get knocked out.
Yeah.
But I didn't cut him off. I run my line, let him run his.
Yeah.
I knew he was there, so I just run higher.
Yeah.
But he just couldn't still get by me.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
You were not going to just pull over for him.
No, I didn't just. I wouldn't want to pull over and let him go. I said, I moved up a line where he had room and I had room. It's about like in Orange County. See, Orange County is about running for 3 cars to run, but you got a high line, a low line, or whatever. But so I stay in one line, let him run one line.
Yeah.
But at the time we was pretty good over there at Ace. I mean, we had a pretty good car over there, and like I say, I just moved up. And in fact, it ain't too many people over there that can took the lead on the outside.
No, I think Jerry Scott's about the only one I've seen do it, and he's in a modified.
Yeah, but I mean, I've done that several times over there back when we was running in 2010, 11. Start on the outside and pass the guy and get in the lead.
Take me back to 2010. By this point, you had, by your own admission, you'd slowed down a bit. You weren't racing near as much as you were.
Oh,
what even
quit.
Yeah, I was about to say what even got you back going again to even have the thought to come over there and race a late model again?
Well, we got some guys around here, John Moore, and he's from around here in Pelham, whatever, and he was coming over some, and I was still selling a few parts or whatever. But anyway, he said, well, why don't you come on down and help us a little bit or something, see if you can help us out and get going. So I went down with him, raced 2 there, and tried to help him out a little bit. And some reason or another, they blew up or something, or wrecked the car or something. They weren't going to go to the next race or so. So he said, well, I had a car sitting here. It had old crate motor in it, about halfway run. He said, well, why don't you just go on down and run out? We'll help you.
All right.
So anyway, I went down there. This is like 2010. Went down there and got out there and tried to run a little bit. And I think the first race back there, I think I about got lapped. I said, "Oh, this ain't good."
I remember seeing you get the move over flag, and that was such that looked like a cat taking a bath. It just did not look natural.
It just didn't feel too good, So I've been racing a while, but it's been a long time since I got lapped, But so anyway, I think we had another motor here that it was a built motor we put back in that thing. I didn't think the motor would even run. It never did seem like it run nowhere else. But I guess we never did put enough gear in it to make it run.
Yeah.
we got up there and put some gear in that thing, and that thing really took off. I think we ran a couple races with it and got it dialed in. I think we ended up winning the last 3 races over that year in 2010. And we was
pretty popular wins too.
Pretty good, It was pretty good win to win 3 in a row there after getting lapped a few weeks earlier.
Did you have to kind of? I know one of those races. I don't know if it was 100, 125 laps or something, and I think it was either 2010 or 2011, and you got out of the car, and I could just tell that was the most wore out I ever seen you. You looked about as white as a sheet. Did it take you a while to kind of get used to the G-force and the physicalness that comes with running a late model race?
Well, it's just the heat.
Oh, the heat.
Heat. I think that was probably about September when it's so hot. I remember going to the track them days. I was looking on the temperature on the truck. It was like 102, 103. I said, "Good God, what are we doing?
We're gonna stay skinny this week. We're gonna sweat."
And we get over there and have to run that long race. And the Ace it's a physical, little demanding track. I mean, you got to stay on top of that wheel because you're going down the front straightaway. If you don't watch, that wall kicks out. You got to stay off the wall. Several things, and you got to. It's like a start and stop, and it's like a little martial, but it's a little more intense.
Yeah.
But I was pretty wore out there. Like I say, that heat and all kind of drained you.
Yeah. I'm about to say, I know I couldn't have done it. I'd have probably pulled in after 10. You got to run so many tracks. What was the track that challenged you the most? Like as far as a driver, like what was the one that you had to work the hardest to figure out the line and get good at? Was there one in particular, or maybe just a couple that just really tested you and the skill that you had behind the wheel?
Well, really, back then when we was running, once you get the car set up, you kind of go anywhere and run. Really, I mean, we just like the night we ran at Wilkesboro and come to Orange County, we didn't change a thing.
Same setup.
Other than the gear, we changed the gear. That was it. I mean, we ran Florida. We'd go to Florida and run, won, come back here to Orange County, change the gear. I mean, we won. I mean, it was just the only thing we was changing the gear. But I really think the hardest track I ever really ran was Ace. It's the hardest place to get around.
The old Ace or the 99 on?
The 99 on.
Okay.
The little bull ring now we was pretty good at. We could get around there pretty good too. But it took a little while to get used to the new Ace track when they redone it. And
yeah, because all your previous track titles had come on the old one,
right?
And then they go and switch the track.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure you had to be like, "Why y'all doing this? We were doing fine."
I really didn't think I don't think I really run the track. They done it in '99, and
I don't remember seeing you over there.
I think I run maybe once or twice. I didn't like the track. I didn't like the way it was, and that's one reason I didn't run over there, because it was just odd from what I used to run. But back when the old track was there, shoot, you could zip right around. It was about like South Boston. It was kind of like a diamond. You run down there, you run through the corner like in and back out, just like South Boston used to be before they upgraded and route mile and all that stuff. It was kind of like that. But I mean, back then, I think I drove a little modified over a dirt car, Rumley's. I think I drove for them one night when they had the old dirt car thing over there. I think I set a new track record over there. It was like a 13:31 or something like that.
It sounds like you could have gotten in a baby carriage to set a track record. Yeah. It didn't matter what you said, and you could gravitate to it pretty quickly.
But I drove for Leroy, and
boy, that's a name.
Yeah, he we come over there one day, we practiced a little bit, and that thing, it was picking the wheels up coming off the ground. I said, "Good God, Leroy."
I think I had some horses.
I said, "It's hooking up so good there, I want to gas up the front end and lose the bite."
Yeah.
So anyway, it puts the smallest carburetor he had on there.
Just to choke it down a little.
And he made a little spring change up on that torque arm up that thing, and come back that day for race. They didn't run radios back then, but I brought my radios and set them in there and put them in there. And anyway, we ended up qualifying on the pole in at 31, and we started the race there. I never will forget. I think Larry Eisler had in the papers, "Oh, Beggarly, he ain't gonna do nothing on these cars. He ain't gonna do nothing." So anyway,
that lit the fire.
Yeah. So anyway, I sat on the pole, like I say, I think it was a 31, but it was faster than what actually Ray Tucker had been driving it.
That's another big name.
Yeah,
his name dropped.
Yeah, I beat his time that night, and anyway, it started the race there. And Leroy said, you're running fast and qualified. Slow down. But I about lapped the field. And he said, "Oh, man, you got a straightaway on everybody." He said, anyway, I talked to Kevin or somebody a while back, and I said, "Why come Leroy didn't ever want to do that again?" He said you just stretched his chassis.
He's warping the chassis.
Warping the chassis.
That's it was funny. I think it was 2011. We had the TV deal over at Ace where I'd come interview people, and I was interviewing you one time, and Robert Turner jumped in the middle of the interview and was singing your praises. It seemed like so many people looked up to you down there. Did you, in your career, have anybody that you kind of looked at as like Brad Allen used to call it like a barometer, somebody you measure yourself against? Like if you were out running them or running with them, you thought you was doing pretty good. Did you kind of have anybody like that over the years that you compared yourself to?
Yeah, I mean, we had some good drivers that we had to run against. Back in our day was Maurice Hill, Wayne Patterson, David Blankenship, Roy Hendricks. It was some good drivers actually in this class. So it was several drivers I looked up to as far as kind of trying to gauge myself. Well, if I can outrun Roy, Roy was Ray Hendricks' son. Yeah. And Ray was one of the all-time greats, modified sportsman or whatever. And Roy, he was pretty good too. So, but Wayne, he was probably the toughest. He'd put a bumper to you in the heart, but he could. Yeah. But you just had to stay away from his chrome horn.
Oh, so he'd kind of do like Setzer did. He would move you.
He would move you. I think one night we had a brand new car to South Boston there, and we hadn't made 2 laps of the race, and he done put me to the outside wall and start-finish line, and wiped that thing out.
Did you have a discussion with him?
We always had a little discussion. But Wayne, he was a super nice guy talking to him. But when he get in that race car, man, he was a different guy. I don't know.
Sound kind of like Earnhardt a little bit.
Yeah.
Nice to you on the outside, not your buddy in there.
When he gets that helmet on, I think he cut the blood going to his brain off.
I've heard that a time or two. It seems to be a common thing.
Off track, we talked right much, but he was a hard nose. He was another Earnhardt, and Earnhardt he'd get to you. If it meant to win, he was going to get you out of the way if any way possible.
Talking about Franklin County, I've always heard from kind of from my time on, it's kind of been a certain way, but it seemed like back in the day, that was just such a premier track in Virginia, and some of the antics were kind of funky up there. Did you ever run into any kind of funny business with Whitey Taylor or any of them up there running the show?
Oh yeah, Whitey, he was a good old con man. We won the track title that year up there, and he said he was going to give us $5,000, but he give us 2 $2,500 war bonds for the track championship.
Well, what the? That was an interesting discussion.
Yeah, well, let me tell you the good start. I was at the bank one day, and I was going for some reason or other, I had them out there, and I was going to cash them in and get another one or something. Anyway, the lady said, she said, well, if something happened to you, this right here is going to go back to Whitey Taylor, don't you? Oh. He was the beneficiary.
Oh, so if you killed over or got in a car wreck, he's going to get some money.
I said, well, all right, I want to go and cash that out right now.
What a false bottom.
Yeah, but Whitey, he was a shark, man, I tell you. But that's Franklin County right there. You see the guys in that picture right there?
Yeah.
You see Darrell Waltrip, Donnie Allison. I don't know who else is up there.
I think Rick Masters in there somewhere.
Yeah, Rick Mast, Darrell Waltrip. That's me right over there on the thing.
Wow.
But that was back at Franklin County. That was the heydays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you the Southern gentleman back then? That's the nickname I always know you as. Were you the Southern gentleman back then, or did that come a little later?
Well, I don't really know when all that got started, but I drive everybody like they drove me. If they drive me clean, I drive them clean. But if somebody run into me, I'd run in the back. Yeah. It might be a little more subtle than what they did, but
yeah.
but I mean, I didn't go out there to wreck nobody. I just went out there to run what I could, you know.
Yeah.
If I had the car to win, I win. But didn't, whatever I finished, I finished.
I got you.
But I mean, that's the way I was. I guess that's the reason they call me that. But
Yeah, I also had the
I
consistent
used pretty
look.
calm, huh?
You had the consistent look. My grandma was such a fan of you for a couple of reasons. One, you was always up front, so she always knew she had a chance to, you know, her man was
Win
going
the
to win.
pole.
Yeah,
Win
and
the pole.
you had the swooped over hair, and you had the mustache, and you weren't no ugly looking grease rag. You're a pretty decent looking man. So you and Ray Young were her favorites.
I even got dark hair there.
Hey, there you go. Wasn't gray.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, man, I appreciate you so much taking time. I know I did not expect it to go 50 minutes, but man, I really appreciate you taking time to talk to me, man.
Well, you most certainly welcome.
Yeah, you have a good one, and keep swooping that hair over because you
Yeah.
still got more hair than I do.
Yeah, I had to comb it over every day.
Hey, thank you, Barry.
You're welcome.